Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Market Today on Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. This is a show where we help you understand and navigate through the closing hour of the day's trade. A flattish trade on the Nifty with just a positive tick. 22,336 is where you see the Nifty hovering at currently. It's given up most of the gains during the day, and the large pressure is coming in from a lot of sectoral pockets like Realty space. That's now down by almost 4% in trade. PSU banks have also lost about 2.5%. It's the broader markets that are continuously facing, and bearing the brunt of SEBI chairperson Madhavi Bhuch's statements on froth being built up in the mid and small cap space. Another 2% downtick for the small cap 100 index and 1.5% loss for the mid caps as well. So that's where the lacking action is clearly. It's barring the IT space, the Nifty bank, financial services and the private banks. Rest of the sectors have all slipped into the red shell.
Good afternoon to you, Sakshi. I think I'll just focus on the bright spot for today, and that's HDFC Bank. Lots of enthusiastic movement happening on the long side as far as India's largest private sector bank is concerned. Needless to add, this is the top gainer on the index. It's also the heaviest weighted one, and despite the 2.5% rise on HDFC Bank today, it is flat, so you can well imagine what the selling pressure is on the other side. Lots of trading happening on the futures of HDFC Bank by a huge margin, Sakshi, nearly double, in fact more than double. 95,800 contracts of HDFC Bank futures are traded compared with just 43,000 contracts of ICICI Bank. So you can see how actively HDFC Bank is traded. If you look at the cash markets, about 3,600 crores worth of transactions has been done, and technically HDFC Bank seems to be poised for higher levels. So this is one piece of how should I say good news in a market that's faced with a lot of uncertainties, strong profit booking, wider sell-offs. If you look at the advance decline ratio on the National Stock Exchange, it's about 380 stocks to 330 stocks in the green to 1950 stocks in the red. So that's roughly a 1:6 kind of a ratio. For every one share that's up, there are 6 that are down. And the other stock that's making sense today is at a record high, which is TCS. You see 41.93 on the charts as far as prices are concerned, but the day's high was 42.29. So it's slipped about 30-35 rupees from its top, but a record high nonetheless. So these are the two bright sparks in an otherwise dull to weak market, Sakshi.
Absolutely, and we're now testing 22,300 on the Nifty as well. Good time to welcome a guest on the show. We're now joined by Avni Bhatt, the Senior Vice President, Equity Derivatives Research at JM Financial. Warm welcome to you, Avni. Good to have you with us. Tell us, what do you make of the current pressure that is being felt in the markets across the board, especially when we talk about the broader markets, and where do you see the markets headed from these levels?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, and a very good afternoon to all the viewers as well. Thank you for having me on the show. Yes, so Nifty and Bank Nifty, both these indices, if you notice since last 1 week, they have been trading volatile, but well within a range. The range for Nifty being 22,200 on the downside and 22,600 on the upside. And for Bank Nifty, it has been all over the place from 46,800 to 48,200. Now, if you notice the open interest built up in options, then I think 47,000 to 48,000 is the range within which Bank Nifty has been hovering. with spikes up to around 46,800 on the downside and 48,150 to 200 on the upside. So, what my view is that going ahead, the texture of the market is pretty good, and any small dips, these corrections are just cool off actions that we are looking at, and these should be bought into. The FIIs are on the buy side, both in cash and the FNO segment. So, there's support coming in
Recording
at
in
lower
progress.
levels, and the view is that by month end, by say close to March end series, I think we should be heading towards 22,800 on Nifty, and around 48 on Bank Nifty should be able to test its all-time highs of around 48,300 and 48,600 on the upside. So it's a buy on dips market, and we should not get jittery with these small corrections that keep coming in.
Fair point. This is where you need to hold your nerve, and that's the view coming in. And the broader view that you might see a record high on the Bank Nifty, which at the moment is trading in the vicinity of 47,320. Flat at the moment, down 10 points, down 9 points. Let's get Sonam Srivastav into the conversation. She's the founder CEO of Right Research, does a lot of work based on quantitative mathematics, and why not? She's an engineer from IIT.
Recording
Kanpur.
in progress.
Sonam, welcome to the show. Let's get some mathematics in and try and find out, based on numbers, what looks good to you within the Nifty.
No, definitely. I think, like Avni said, that we think that banks are definitely having an interesting time. If you look at the broader market right now, in terms of numbers, the value is actually there in the banking pack more than most of the other market. So definitely we are quite excited about the banking space. Along with it, I think the large caps definitely are having a good time. So a lot of interest in Reliance, TCS, SBI. And right now, I think there is a little bit of a worry for sure in the small caps and the PSU basket, and we are looking at that space very cautiously.
Okay. So that's the view coming in from the mathematics part of Sonam's architecture. Let's get into the quant part, because you do a lot of quant stuff as well. Sonam, any views on the small cap index? Where do you see value emerging based on pure market action, pure price action, and any picks that you could somehow look at, even if prices are not corrected as much, but some stocks that you could name which are on your radar, which may correct further and then bounce
Right.
back?
Right. So see, I think, looking at it quantitatively, if you analyze the market, you will see that there's a lot of froth in the stocks that have a low free float cap, right? Which means that they have been pumped quite a lot. And I think right now the sentiment in the market is of caution. Nobody is willing to buy these stocks that have a lot of froth into them. But irrespective of that, we are seeing some interest in a few segments, right? So to give you an idea here, I would say, like banking, some of the mining and metal names, right? I think those are looking interesting. And we are looking at, more than trend or price action. I think we have shifted a little bit of a focus towards finding value, right? Because I think that is what the market is hinting at. So in these levels, stocks like DCB Bank, in the small cap segment, uh, you have BCG, you have Repco Home, which are looking interesting from the value perspective. And yeah, we are looking at wherever we can find some value in the small cap segment.
Okay. Avni, please do share with us any of your stock ideas in this volatile market. How are you navigating through some of the stock ideas, and if you've identified any, share with our viewers, please.
See, given that we've seen a good correction, I think it is time for those strong stocks that have already given a breakout and have retraced back to their breakout levels. These are the stocks that will perform well going ahead also. So I'm positive on the banking and the auto sector. So both these sectors look pretty good, and I think there will be a good bounce back in the frontline names like Maruti and M&M. So both these stocks are on the buy list from current levels. And for Maruti, the trading target would be around 11,800 and the positional target would be 12,300. One can buy the stock with a stop loss of around 11,300. The second auto stock is M&M. So M&M also looks pretty good. It has made a high, retraced back to its breakout level, and it has started moving up again. So that also becomes a good buy for a target of 1975 and a stop loss of 1840. So for both these stocks, the risk reward is pretty good. And from the banking pack, I would go with the PSU Bank, the leader in the PSU space, which is SBI. It's a very good level, at a very good level, 760 is a good level to enter into the stock. One can enter with a stop loss of 748 and targeting 790 by month end maybe, and a positional target of around 820. So these are the three picks that I would go with.
Okay. One interesting theme, Sakshi, that's emerging is that when you look at the kind of uncertainty you face for a while in the market, then normally analysts gravitate towards large caps. So M&M, Maruti and SBI amongst the blue chips that have performed remarkably well on the Nifty. All three of them fairly recently hit new highs, and this is the swing trade in the making, especially for Maruti. 12,300 is what the medium terms prospects look at. So that's a view coming in from Avni. Let's get some more technical views in. Avni, what does HDFC Bank's chart tell you in terms of whether this move will continue or not? This has been one of the disappointing stocks for the last 2.5 years. Any up move that comes in is met with consistent selling pressure from our global friends. What are the charts saying today?
So what you're calling as a disappointing move, I would call it a very good consolidation phase that it has undergone. And I think the stock is ready to move. The negatives are all factored in. So just to give you a disclaimer that we have recommended the stock today morning to our clients around 1440 levels. So any retracement close to 1440, even at current levels, it's a very good buy. It should be heading towards the first target would be around 50 and 1540 on the higher side. And even for this stock, the stop loss can be kept at 1420. So risk reward is pretty good. We are positive on HDFC Bank. Any declines should be used to accumulate the stock for a short-term perspective, which would be somewhere around 2.5 to 3 months.
Okay. Be that as it may, let's look at HDFC Bank's contribution to Nifty's move, Sakshi. So the Nifty at the moment is flat, absolutely, 22,323. It's not moved even a whisker from what it closed yesterday. What's good about this, Sakshi, is that 37 points towards the green side have come in from HDFC Bank. TCS has contributed 17 points in the green, Reliance and Infosys respectively 13 and 11 points. It's the market that's being pulled down by ITC that's contributed a negative 15. State Bank of India down about 2% has contributed a negative 14 points. L&T, Cipla, Tata Motors about 4-5 points each. Net impact, absolutely nothing happening on the Nifty, but one must acknowledge the move that's coming on HDFC Bank. Perhaps it's being used to keep the Nifty stable at a time when heavy selling pressure is seen on small cap and mid cap stocks. You must keep it in mind that there's no point inducing panic and forcing you to sell at a time when the smart money is exiting a lot of mid caps and small caps. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Let me digress a bit. Let's pull up one stock, Sanghi Industries. Very sharp spike there. And there is some kind of a report that's coming in, which I have not been able to verify independently. But again, those block deals news continue. Apparently, Ambuja Cements is looking to sell about 2% stake in Sanghi Industries. And therefore, you see a very sharp spike on this one, 8.3% uptick for this one. Ambuja is down 2% odd. Would you look at this, Avni, and tell us if you will follow this move?
Sakshi, as you said, today we have seen a very good move, but if you look at the volumes, the volume activity hasn't picked up as much for the continuation of this uptrend. So maybe this move can continue up to around 115 to 116, from where selling pressure can emerge again. So anyone who has bought it at lower levels today or maybe previously should look to book out positions in this particular stock around the 115 to 116 area.
Okay, let's get Sonam's view in. Sonam, you've mentioned that a lot of fraud still remains in the market, especially in the small and the mid cap space. Given your background in research and quantitative mathematics, are there some valuations within the sector or even in the broader markets where you still find sanity, where you would still advise a buy?
No, definitely. I think, see, opportunity is still there, and even with the stocks that are correcting, right? I expect the bounce to come back because, there is no big trigger for the sell-off. It is mostly profit booking and a concern around the overvaluation, right? And specifically after the warning has come from SEBI also. So definitely, I think there are quite a few interesting stocks where we can definitely have a look at. Recently in our portfolios, obviously we've allocated to the large caps like a Reliance or a TCS, but along with it, we are seeing very good interest in, some of the larger cap stocks like a Cummins or a Dixon. Think there's a good opportunity there. Even in the PSU pack, I think stocks like LIC, BHAIL, ONGC are still quite interesting. So I think there is ample opportunity out there. We talked about auto, right? And banks. Banks are at their lowest valuation. Auto is at a low valuation compared to rest of the market. If you look at some of the other names, like in the chemical segment, those are also looking interesting. And apart from it, I think your metals and oil and gas will have some global cues that could bring them up. So I think there is still a lot of opportunity, but I think the theme is to diversify more and be a little bit more focused towards valuation in this market.
Okay, if you does Right Research put out a model portfolio? If it does, how many stocks are there, and what are the 5 largest weightages?
No, so we do have model portfolios, but these are mostly, paid portfolios that we publish on certain platforms. But to give you a sense on some of our largest holdings, right, there would be, like I said, Cummins is one allocation. We have
Okay.
Nippon India as a big allocation. Tata Motors has recently come in, right? Along with it, Zomato has had some allocation for a while, Indian Oil Corporation. So, stocks like these, we're still holding on and seeing value.
Okay. Abdi, let me come to you now. What do you make of the move on the IT space? Are there any particular large caps that you particularly like on the charts right now? Where do you see continuous momentum sustaining? You've seen 2 days of consecutive purchases on the IT stocks, especially the large caps. Where do you see this momentum?
So from the IT space, I think TCS is one stock where I would continue to hold on to the position. And the second stock that I like is HCL Tech. So these are the two stocks where I would like to focus on as far as the IT space is concerned. For the rest of the stocks, I'm not very excited about allocating a large amount in the IT space.
Okay. So that's as far as the IT pack is concerned. On banks, are you looking positively? Private banks, is that a space that you're looking at and identifying some certain stocks from?
Yes, actually, definitely. So, from the banking space, it will be a mix of large caps and some small cap banking stocks. Like Axis Bank is one such stock, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, of course, that's the highest allocation as of now. And from the smaller banks, we like Bank of India and Bank of Maharashtra. These are the two stocks where they are at pretty good levels and low valuations. So I think these are the stocks one should stay in. From the PSU banking space, SBI is one stock where there will be maximum allocation.
Okay. So that's as far as the banking stocks and the IT stocks are concerned, and where Avni is positive. Sonam, would you like to add to some of the list in the banking space where you are finding some interesting stocks?
No, definitely. So, like Avni said, that SBI looks quite interesting. Apart from it, we've held on to Union Bank, Maharashtra Bank, Karnataka Bank for a while, and we think there is a lot of interest there.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I think so. There is I think banking definitely is looking interesting on the private banks also. Stocks like ICICI, even HDFC, seem to have a lot of value, right?
Okay. What we'll do, Sakshi, is let's just detour into the price part of the market. Although the Nifty is flat, there's a lot of interesting themes emerging across the board, and we'll focus on one of the news items, which is ITC. Pain point here, 1% lower, 405 for you, and about 1200 crores worth of transactions have happened. There is some buzz in the market that you might see a large block deal being announced by ITC's UK parent, British American Tobacco, to sell something like $2 billion worth of stake in the company to a clutch of investors. This is, of course, at the moment on the drawing board, but there are a lot of indications that it might come through. So this is something that needs to be looked at against the backdrop that ITC has corrected sharply from its most recent high, which was in the vicinity of I think 495, 481. This was in April of 2024. So from no, this was in January of 2024. So from a high of about 448, we are now at somewhere like 405. Avni, what are the medium-term charts of ITC telling you? Is the pain over, or is there more pain ahead?
So as you mentioned that there are news about some block deal happening, and my view is that whenever the block deal happens, probably the price may come down to around 385 to 390 levels. But once the block deal is done, I think the stock will bottom out and will start looking up again. So 385 to 390 is a very crucial area where one should look at adding this particular stock in their portfolios.
So, Sakshi, much will depend, of course, on we know for certain who the seller is, right? But much would depend upon the names of buyers who might want to emerge into ITC as a holder of a specific chunk. Early morning sessions, we saw the name of LIC of India being emerging as one of the potential buyers of this stake. Only time will tell, but our job is to provide you with all the masala that's happening in the market, and there are lots of names doing round. So ITC seems to have bottomed out according to Avni. Let's see whether the transaction happens today evening, and if it does, it will be interesting to note down names. I am looking forward to one particular name, but we'll discuss it if that name happens. There's no point giving fresh wind to already a speculative move that's coming in the market. So yesterday, Sakshi, Godfrey Phillips was up 10%, today's down 10%. So there is balance in life, as they say. Let's look at what else is moving and moving with a red tick. Okay, a 5% down tick on Tata Investment. It was up 5% yesterday. So again, balance coming in. Indian Bank, UCO Bank, public sector banks are taking it on the chin, down about 5.9 and 5.6% respectively. Profit booking in HUDCO. Until recently, it was above 200, 204 rupees. Now, over the last 4 or 5 trading sessions, the stock has now slipped back to below 185. So this is something to be looked at. And of course, another block deal candidate, KFin Tech, ladies and gentlemen, today slipping back 5% lower at 594. I don't think so the block has happened, Sakshi, yet.
Okay, we'll keep an eye. You were mentioning, Shell, the SME index in the morning. It's now down 5.5%.
Yes.
the BSE SME index, and in the last 10 sessions it's dropped 14% from the peak as well, and this is after SEBI chairperson has highlighted some price manipulation happening in shares in the SME segment. You know, most of the advanced decline ratio is 1:10 over here as well. A whole host of stocks are facing a huge pressure on a whole host of these stocks. So this is a space that you can continue need to be cautious about at this
Actually,
point in time.
I think you know, sanity is necessary, whether it's injected by a regulatory stance or a regulatory action.
Yeah.
So far, a lot of noise has been made about excessive froth, bubbly numbers, and so on and so forth. I'm sure there is a lot of bite in the pipeline. Let's see what comes forth as far as regulatory stances are concerned, and how strongly they are converted into action. But the fact remains that you know, markets have this natural tendency to correct from record highs, and that's happening. If that happens just by, how should I say, a particular statement rather than you know, using the stick, by just showing it, it's good enough. But you know, such is life, and that's how markets work over the last many decades, many centuries, and that is how they will continue to work.
Absolutely. More pressure now on the markets. The Nifty is now slipped into the red at 22,330 odd levels currently. Just about 10 odd stocks remaining into the green zone as far as the Nifty 50 stocks are concerned. Large part of those stocks include banking names, heavyweights like HDFC Bank, which is the top gainer today, 2.3% higher, followed by IT names like TCS, LTI, Mindtree, Infosys. Then you also have some auto names like Maruti and Eicher. Bajaj Twins are up in trade. Reliance Industries, Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints, the other heavyweights that are somehow limiting the downside for the Nifty as of now. Only the IT and the private banks, financial services now up into the green. Let's talk about the futures and the stocks that are moving up in trade. Balkrishna Industries, that's up by 4.3%. Avni, would you care to look at the charts of Balkrishna Industries and tell us which way is it headed? Of course, there was some news flow yesterday that some searches were taking place on the premises of Balkrishna Industries, and then the stock had seen some dips, and on from IT. Now again it's up in trade of about 4 odd % being seen right now. How would you really look at the stock?
Today, if you look at the movement in the stock, there has been open interest addition in the future space also, and I think this up move should continue up to around 2380, where once again we may see some selling pressure emerge. But up to 2380, I don't think there's any halting.
Sakshi, I think let's look at the price action in the market. For the moment, it's you know, flat as flat can be, but nevertheless, let me point out to you some interesting themes which are you know, underlying this change. Let's look at probably the RK Swamy IPO that's got listed today, because of the sentiment that it is, and you know, surprisingly there are a lot of companies that came up with fairly how should I say, suspect IPOs, but RK Swamy is a good brand, and it's suffering the consequences. It's listed 8% below its IPO price of 288, now I think at 265. Maybe we can show the graph if possible. So that's something new that's happened, and Sakshi, it's really hard to point out something positive. The Nifty Mid Cap 100 is down 756 points, 48,018 for you. I just want to see what the low is, 47,862. So that's 38 plus 100, 138 points above its day's low. How about the small cap 100, 15,091. What's the low here? It's 15,010. So it's about 80 points above its day's low. That's the pain that's coming in. I just want to share the advanced decline ratio, Sakshi, on the small cap index, and that's where you get the mood and the sentiment. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, yes. So 53 plus 25 plus 5, 83 stocks, Sakshi, are in the red out of 100 on the Nifty small cap index, and I'll tell you the stocks that have hit more than 5% lower: LG Equipment, HUDCO, UCO Bank, Angel One, and SGVN. So the thread is that the PSU sector is showing signs of very, very high profit booking. Sakshi.
Okay.
And I started out as positive.
Yes, absolutely. 7.7% now at the day's low for LG Equipments. We'll keep a watch on this one as well. All right, Sonam, we'll thank you on that note. And viewers, what we'll do is we'll take a break. Once we return, Apni will be with us. And of course, we'll also be joined by Vaishali Parekh from Prabhudas Leeladhar Research. And we'll discuss more stock ideas after the break. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Today on Business Today television. Last half an hour of trade remaining. Shell and I are in conversation with Avni. Avni, anything else, any space where you're looking for value in this current volatile market? Where exactly is your attention getting drawn to?
Sorry. As I said, I'm pretty positive on the banking space. So for the in the smaller banking space, I think Bank of Maharashtra and Bank of India, these are the two stocks that I really like, and one can invest into it at current levels. They've corrected quite a bit, and we are looking at around 8 to 10% move in next probably a month's time. And on the downside, even the stop losses can be capped at around 3%. So that's a pretty good risk reward ratio. These are the two stocks that I really like from a very short term trading perspective.
Okay. Avni, let me just rephrase the question. Which stock do you think is the weakest within the Nifty setup?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question because most of these stocks are moving on a rotational basis.
Yes.
If today IT is strong, banking is strong, tomorrow it will be the auto pack, and one sector that is really not doing well, not able to pick up is FMCG. Although it's at the bottom, it's at the lowest level, but yet smallest of pullback. If you see, it's getting sold into. So FMCG is one space which is looking pretty weak even now. So that is where I would, if at all you force me to take a short position, that is the space where I would go short on.
Okay. So FMCG is something which a lot of people who analyze stocks fundamentally have been fairly skeptical about. We have the inflation number coming in today evening, which is the CPI WPI inflation for the month of February, and let us see how FMCG fares in this one. People have been fairly skeptical about demand in rural India, and typically rural India forms a huge chunk of FMCG sales, such as soap, washing powder, the likes of all kitchen items, and therefore Avni now says that they are the weakest link within the Nifty, and a lot of things now somehow coming together. Okay. Avni, one more question which is slightly off the rack. When you look at Axis Bank and ICICI Bank, they've been one of the few cornerstones of strength within the private sector banking space, both near or at record highs, especially ICICI Bank. What are your medium term charts for ICICI Bank telling you?
Okay, so for the medium term, I think ICICI Bank has consolidated quite a bit, and it has again given a breakout above 1055. And if you see today low also, it is 1055. So a very simple technical rule that whenever a stock gives a breakout and moves higher, it will always retrace back to its breakout level, and that is where it will take support. So I think 1055 is a good support level from where it has bounced back. On the upside, it should test around 1115. So 1115 is where I would see the stock in coming few days, and 1055 would be the support for this stock. So that's a very short-term trading view.
Okay, fair point. And how about Axis Bank? It had shown some signs of activity somewhere mid last week, but again it seems to have slipped back into that mild coma below 1100. What are the charts on Axis Bank telling you?
So Axis 4 days back it had given a high, and now it's on the downward spiral. I think the stock should come down to around 1050 level. That is the level where I would enter into the stock again.
Okay, okay, fair point. So we have strong views on HDFC Bank on the long side coming in from Avni, and it's a bit of a status quo on Axis and ICICI. Avni, we've asked you a lot of questions. Anything that we've missed out?
Markets are so vast that there will be unlimited questions, and we can keep talking for the entire day. Maybe.
Okay, so next question coming your way, since you briefly mentioned that we've been seeing sectoral rotation and next it could be the autos that could be moving. So tell me, out of the three four-wheeler majors, Maruti, Tata Motors and M&M, which one are you finding strongest on charts right now?
So I am liking all the three stocks. If you ask me, Maruti is my favorite. Tata Motors looks pretty good for a target of 1100, but it has moved up quite fast, I think, and there is no selling pressure at all seen in the stock. I would wait for some kind of dip where the risk reward becomes favorable. So Maruti top pick, then would come M&M, and then Tata Motors on a little dip.
Okay, okay. What?
And surprisingly, Sakshi, these are the stocks that have shown the least amount of. Okay, why don't you engage with Avni, and I'll come up with some excellent data for both of you. Just give me
Sure.
2-3 minutes, please.
Okay,
Continue.
absolutely. So, Avni, once we are talking about the four-wheelers, it's also interesting to talk about the auto ancillary space. This space really garnered a lot of attention from analysts, both technical and fundamental, over the last 2 to 3 months odd. We were hearing from almost every second day analyst that, some of the auto part makers were coming on their radar, say Samvardhan, Motherson, JBM Auto, Uno, Minda. These were very, very commonly being brought out. Where do you see momentum sustaining, long-term growth being seen on any of the stocks from the auto ancillary pack now?
JBM Auto, if you look at the chart structure, it's pretty weak. So that is not the stock that I would go with. Samvardhan, I'll just check and let you know. Yeah, so Samvardhan, I think the long-term trend is pretty good, and it has corrected also quite well. It's trading close to its 50-day moving average. So yes, 113 to 115 area is a good buying level. So this is one stock where probably you can enter at current levels also, and it should start looking up in maybe whenever it does, it should move up to around 125 levels. So risk reward here is favorable. One can enter into this stock.
Okay, so here is a point that I'd like to make, Sakshi, especially within the auto space, which buttresses Avni's argument. Why Tata Motors and why Maruti? If you look at just the weekly data, these stocks have fallen the least.
Yeah.
So we look at so when markets fall, we look at outperformers in the sense that which have fallen the least.
Yeah.
And those that have risen the maximum in any case are outperformers. So the guys that have risen are Bajaj Auto. No surprise there, there's a buyback happening. And we have a media comment from the top official of Bajaj Auto, uh, which just say, let's just say, gives a 5-digit price to what is now at 85.26. So keep that in mind. And over the last 1 week, Tata Motors has shed just 0.4%. Maruti has shed about 1.2%, and others such as Mahindra and Mahindra, Polo Tires, Bharat Forge, etc., are down about 2.5%. Mahindra and Mahindra, of course, there was a block deal with the owners selling a stake. I think that was worth something like 2,000 crore rupees. One of the many block deals that we keep talking about. So keep that in mind when you look at Tata Motors and Maruti. They've fallen the least, thereby implying relative strength against the Nifty. Avni.
Yeah, so M&M, that's the case that when the block deal happened, it corrected quite a bit. But if you go purely by the data, then I think it's in a very good shape, and overall the long-term trend is also positive. So derivatives data is also very supportive of the stock. 1900 call option, if you see, there's a lot of buying interest happening in that particular strike. And in spite of this entire fall after the block deal, the interesting thing was that there was no shedding happening at 1900 put, which is very interesting that the put writers at 1900 strike were holding on to their positions. That means that the sentiment is positive. The stock traders are expecting the stock to bounce back above 1900. That's why all data points are quite supportive of the stock. So, and it's a leader, it's a very fundamentally sound company. So that's why I would go with this stock.
Fair point. And this is just an aside. You just have to look at the number of Thars on North Indian roads to to sort of buttress the claim that all is well with Mahindra and Mahindra, and it's just a mild downtick, which is a part of profit booking, as also the supply that came in at higher levels. So let's see how soon M&M reclaims 2,000 rupees. But this has been one mega outperformer. Okay, I'll give you some more data to buttress this view as well. Let's look at the 1 year performance on M&M. It's up 59%. There's so many players that have just gone beyond that. Tata Motors is up 140%. Sakshi will repeat her favorite phase for 2023. Bajaj Auto 125%. 125% has come in the last 3 months. Stock has nearly zoomed from 5,200 to 9,000 in a span of last 3.5, 4 months. TVS Motors record high beyond 2,000, 2,200. And of course, Hero Motors, the stock has done remarkably well, 4,600 for you. 1512, Sakshi, another 18 minutes to go.
Absolutely. I'm spotting some stocks from the broader markets then, which are still rallying in trade despite the overall subdued move. Quick Heal Technologies, that's moved up 7.5% in trade. Very strong move coming in. From the IT space, the mid-cap space also seeing some traction over here. Many other stocks also moving up. HEG, for example, that's up in trade. SMS Pharma is up in trade. Linde India, that's the one that's moving up very, very strongly, 7% higher in trade. You have Cupid that's moving up 5% higher in trade. Balkrishna Industries, we mentioned Balkrishna Paper Mills is also moving up 5% higher. So it's a it's the company move that we are seeing, or the conglomerate move that we are seeing here. Anything from this basket of stocks that I just mentioned, Avni, that catches your attention?
I think Quickly Technologies has given a bullish engulfing pattern on the weekly charts after today's move, and also the daily charts, of course. So and volumes have picked up quite well in this stock. So the I think this stock looks good. The upside should continue. There is no point of placing any particular target because it's in a blue sky territory. Only thing what you should be doing is keep trailing your stop losses on the higher side, and keep riding the rally. So I think Quick Heal looks pretty good. And Linde India also is well placed. That's also given a good move in last 2 weeks. So I think Linde India, the upside should continue up to around 6,800. if at all anyone who has bought it at lower levels can trail their stop losses to 6,000 level. So this particular stock also looks pretty interesting. The volumes are extremely good for this continuation of the up move.
Okay. Sakshi, it's almost 3:15. We'll take a very quick detour into the broader markets. It's as if the Sensex, the Nifty and the Bank Nifty never opened for trade today. So 4 points lower on the Nifty, ladies and gentlemen. 66 points lower on the Nifty Bank, and 160 points up on the Sensex is what we have. Absolutely nothing. The carnage is actually on the mid cap and the small cap space today. We'll show you the Nifty mid cap 100 index down 1.5%, 48,070, and the Nifty small cap index down 2%. This is what the broader themes are. Within the sectoral space, it's Realty that's taken it on the chin. The Nifty Realty index down about 3.8%. PSU banks have suffered another round of profit booking. Nothing to be worried there. They've risen so dramatically over the last 6 months. You won't mind a 2.5% cut on the Nifty PSU banking index, consolidating at record highs. Metals are down 1.8%. Pharma, surprise, surprise, is down 1.3%. FMCG, which Avni doesn't like at all, is also down about 1%. What's in the green? It's the Nifty IT index, and that's surprising, Sakshi, because you saw a lot of selling pressure on Wall Street the previous evening.
Yeah.
And here is Nifty IT index led by TCS and Oracle Financial Services doing the rounds on the green side.
Absolutely. One more stock that just caught my attention is actually, which we don't talk about, and of course it's a very volatile stock, a stock we don't like to in fact talk about too, is Jet Airways. It's at a 5% upper circuit.
Not me.
And there is a news that NCLAT has approved giving the control of Jet Airways to Jalan Kalrock. That's the news coming in from Cogensis, and perhaps that's why we see a 5% upper circuit on this one at 43 odd levels. We'll not take a view on this, but it's an important news bit that I just wanted to share with all our viewers.
Let's see
at
what
this
the
point.
long-term chart of Jet Airways says. Oh my God, Sakshi, you will not believe I remember the stock in 4 digits. I also remember the IPO very clearly.
Yeah.
But it's at 43.05, and it's a 4 down days and 1 uptick, 43. We'll just leave it. We were just marking the price for you. Lots of things. The price is not updated because we haven't checked it for so long. But nevertheless, it's at 43.05. What we'll do is, to compensate for this, we'll show the record high on Indigo today. Avni, you need to comment on Indigo. Despite the block deal, despite everything, here's a stock that's held steady and improving on a day when the broader markets are flat. Indigo, what are the medium-term charts telling you?
Pretty positive on Indigo. This is the only stock from the airline sector that is really flying, and it absorbs all the negative news that comes in at any point in time within a week, and we see the up move continue. And the volumes that you see, because I pay a lot of attention on volumes. So whenever there has been a downtrend, a negative day, the volumes have been on the lower side, whereas whenever there is a positive move, the volumes have been on the higher side. So the buying interest is more in this stock. Futures also, open interest has been added today, so long positions have been added in this particular stock. I think it should fly higher now.
Okay. And Sakshi, there is always this overhang of a supply, as one of the co-promoters, as we know, is engaged in a board tussle with the another one. But despite that, as Avni mentions, the ability for the stock to absorb all selling pressure and concentrated selling pressure is amazing. And it's getting reflected at least in the stock price, if not at the service of the company. I read your tweet.
Right.
I replied also.
Okay. All right. So that's as far as Indigo is concerned. Of course, the passengers continue to reel under immense amount of, hassles because of the monopoly that it is actually doing well with. Let's look at how the stock price really performs going forward from here. Let's look at some other stocks as well that are moving up in trade. Any new stock that I can track? Okay, let me ask Bharti Airtel, 0.5% higher. Apni, do you track this stock and tell us where is the stock headed from here on?
So I particularly don't really like the stock, but yes, it has performed quite well, and the structure also looks pretty good. On daily charts, if you notice, it's formed a very nice rounding bottom, and the breakout level for which is around 1215. So once the stock crosses 1215 level, I think the sky is the limit. It should immediately move up to around 1280 levels. So the structure is good, texture of the stock is good, and one can trade in it. But why I don't like this particular stock is because whenever it gives a breakout, it will also be a false breakout. It will give you 2 days of downtick, which would really test your patience,
Again,
and then start moving up again. So if you're
yes.
entering into the stock, I think you need to have.
Yes, absolutely. There was a voice lag, Avni. My apologies for interrupting you. But again, Sakshi, there are so many stocks that have done so many block deals. Bharti being above one of them. 0.8% stake being sold by long-term investor, Singtel to a clutch of large funds. So even that overhang is there. Nonetheless, this is a market where you need to be patient and you need to take these corrections with the right amount of chin up. And the fact is that there's barely a correction on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. It's just that the small caps and the mid caps have sort of changed digits. Many of them which we used to talk about with such awe and shock
Yes.
are themselves suffering awe and shock over the last 3-4 sessions. Let's hope this thing ends as quickly as possible and sentiment improves for the better. But for this particular day, we are waiting for US and Indian inflation data. We are waiting for some clarity on the US Federal Reserve's stance on interest rates, and therefore on the sanity of global markets.
Absolutely. Avni, tell us, it's 3:21. Good time to take some BTST, STBT trades for tomorrow. If you could share any with us.
See, I would go with index trades as far as BTST is concerned, not on the stocks. And for index, tomorrow being Bank Nifty expiry, and we have one more day for Nifty expiry. So Nifty, I think we can go for 22,500 call for the 14th March expiry. And I think market should bounce back equally sharply the way it has come down today. And it's become an expiry game now these days. Prior to expiry, if there's a fall, the call writers will keep coming closer. They'll sell closer strikes, and those are the ones that get trapped on the expiry day. This is a similar action I am expecting for this expiry also. So I think 22,500 call is where one can buy and take home the position, carry it for 2 days. That's a good trade. Tomorrow itself, we may see a good bounce back on opening itself.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 3:23. We have 7 minutes left into what has turned out to be a very boring day if you are a Nifty and a Bank Nifty tracker. But lots of interesting things have happened in the broader markets. Let me mark some of them so that there seems to be some cheer when you go back home and look at how prices fare today. So 3 record highs, ladies and gentlemen. Oracle Financial Services, 82.92, 2.3% higher. The early morning number was somewhere like 8,500 on this one, a bit of profit booking happening there as well. 86.19, that was the intraday high and the all-time high. We've discussed TCS Threadbare, 41.90 for you. It's trying to shut shop about 1.7% higher. The intraday high for this one was 42.30. Indigo, discussed in great detail with Avni, 32.42, 0.7% higher. Of course, the top performers of the day continue to be HDFC Bank, full marks to it, 2.3% higher, 1460. As also, I would imagine something like Infosys, 0.7% higher, 1611. And before I forget to mention, I'd just like to watch Geo Finance. The reason why I mention it is that it is not a part of the NSE 500, but it has hit a record high today. Just a moment, I'll get you the right price for Geo Finance.
362.
Okay, 362. If you could just tell me the quantity that's traded. 1 second. Okay, my God. Sakshi, why don't you just take a look at.
Okay, it's up by 1.88% right now, although it's come off the day's high point, but definitely it did touch an all-time high today, and the stock has been in momentum. If we look at the last 5 days odd, you'll see that the stock has moved up 11% odd. So it's been a substantial move in just the last 5 days. Last 1 month, the stock has moved up 33% as well. The all-time high for the stock is 374 that it touched today. Avni, what's next for this one?
So it's a very recently listed company. So as far if you look at the charts, it wouldn't give you a right picture. But it's at the all-time high, and the upside seems to be intact. Although on technical parameters, RSI is slightly overbought, so we may see some kind of cool off happening in the stock. But it should hold on to the 350 mark where it had given a breakout yesterday, and from there on again it should move up again. So at least if you look at the retracement levels, I think 395 is where we should see the stock.
Okay, and Sakshi, the most critical point on Geo Finance today is the volume. It's at 4,025 crore rupees, making it the top traded counter on the National Stock Exchange today. Remember, it's not a part of the NSE 500, therefore we don't get that particular data. And of course, needless to add, it's a record high. I just wanted to see what is the intraday high. That's 374.50. So 2 days of successive record highs on GeoFin. Let's see what Wednesday brings in. But it will be interesting to watch the delivery statistics today. How much is speculation and how much is value?
Absolutely. Anything else, Avni, that you'd like to highlight that is important for viewers to now follow? Of course, 2 days have gone by without much substantial move on the markets. 3 days more to remain, and how should one be really navigating through the markets now in the next 3 days of the market this week?
So I think risk management is the key to beat this kind of volatility. So if you're an option trader, directional traders are facing a hard time. So Shailendra, I wanted to actually interrupt you, because when you said there is nothing happening in the market today and it's a boring market, I think one should go and ask option sellers who have faced a very tough time today since the opening bell. So, in this kind of market, I think straddle selling makes a very good case, because IVs are coming down, India VIX is coming down, option premiums are melting on everyday basis. But at the same time, the direction of the market has it's become very unpredictable, and there are certain knee-jerk reactions. So, if you have a balanced position, if the range is clear on the data points, then I think for playing that range, going short on straddles and hedging it with OTM options is a very good strategy, and it's been working wonderfully since the beginning of February month. So this is one point where option traders can look into. As far as directional cash trades are concerned, I think hold on to your nerves, go for a good selection of the stocks, and keep faith in your stock. Any kind of retracement, pullbacks, corrections that are there, technically one can look at the support levels and then average it, or maybe keep trading, book profits at higher levels, and add again when there's a correction.
Okay. Time to wind down the markets. Of course, the Nifty is flattish at this point in time, 22,336 being seen on the index. The sectors that are still hovering with gains is IT, 0.6% higher, the top sectoral mover today. Financial services, 1/10 of a gain on the upside. Private banks just flattish with a positive bias, and the Nifty is flattish. Rest of the sectors have all dipped into the red. The Nifty Bank also slipping just below the flat line. Autos, oil and gas, FMCG, healthcare, all of them 0.5% to 1% down in trade. The top drag on the sectoral front is clearly the Nifty Realty, 3.5% of a loss for this one. PSU banks 2.5% lower. Media index 2% lower. Small cap 100 index 2% lower. Metals mid caps also 1.5% lower as well. But as far as the Nifty small cap 100 index is concerned, it's now down 10%. From the peak that we had seen on this index. It's now declined 4 out of the last 5 trading sessions. It's the second day when we have seen an index the small cap index dropping more than 2%, and with today's drop it's down 10% from the February 8th peak that we had seen of the small cap 100 index at 16,691. So the index has lost 1500 points from those levels as well. And you know, importantly to watch that out of the 100 stocks that are listed on this index, just about 14 of them are trading with gains, and some of them are just like lower than 1%, and over 80 stocks are trading with losses. Nearly 30 to 35 stocks are trading with losses of 10% or more, and IFL Finance is the worst performer during this entire period, and that is largely to do with the regulatory action that has come in. But even stocks like say SJVN, which were the performers, NBCC, Angel One, they are the ones that are the biggest laggards on this index. Remains to be seen how much more pain is left to be seen on the small cap stocks. So that's where the pain point has taken in Nifty to shut shop, in fact with a 2-point loss today at 22,330 odd levels. Share.
Right. Sakshi, what we'll do is we'll draw this market to a close. Second day of losses, but remember yesterday's losses were far higher. Today the index has closed flat. It's giving you a hint, whether you take it or not, it's up to you. And the beatings on the small cap and the mid cap indices continue. You shouldn't be worried, you shouldn't sulk, because you made the maximum amount of money in those two, and some of it has been taken away by the market. Let's see what Wednesday brings, but from Sakshi and me and our team, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Across the board,